I'm Melissa Sanregret, and the ADHD Agent is where we swap stories and strategies to build a successful real estate business that actually fits your ADHD brain. I'm sure you've heard this next phrase I'm about to say before. In fact, it might be the very reason that you got into real estate in the first place. All the successful agents preach it, and if I'm being completely honest, it was one of the main reasons that I chose this career too. Goes a little something like this. I got into real estate because I wanted more freedom. Now I'm my own boss and I pick my own hours. Sounds great, right? Then there's this meme I saw the other day that says, I quit my 9 to 5 so that I could work 24/7. I gotta be honest, that one feels a lot more accurate most days. Let's talk about this idea of being your own boss. What does it actually mean if you've never been a boss before? What should your day look like when you're the CEO of your own company, building something that actually gives you freedom? And how do you make it happen when you have ADHD? For ADHD brains, freedom can sometimes be pretty overwhelming. We love the idea of making our own schedule, but without urgency, a clear end goal, and some structure, decision paralysis takes over. We'll often let days just slip right on by without getting anything done. Today, I'm going to share with you how I learned to be my own boss the hard way and the 5 CEO rules I wish I had known right from the start. It all starts during the summer of COVID. I had just moved back all the way across the country to my hometown of Edmonton from Toronto. I had just been laid off from my job as a flight attendant for a major airline, a career I loved and had been a massive part of my identity for nearly 13 years. Suddenly, I was back home with no job, no money, starting over with nothing. I was struggling to process the fact that everything that I had worked so hard for, my entire adult life, could just be taken away from me in minutes. And there was absolutely nothing that I could do about it. I knew it was time for me to explore another career, this time one that could give me control over my own future. The funny part is I had already signed up for the real estate course while I was living in Toronto. One thing about flight attendants that you might not know is that we actually get a lot of time off each month, and the more seniority you get, the more your time off increases, which leaves tons of room for travel or other side hustles. I'd worked a few flights with a colleague named Mona, a fellow flight attendant who's also a top producing real estate agent in the Greater Toronto area. She is a total powerhouse and became my inspiration for getting into real estate before the world shut down. So when I got back to Edmonton, real estate felt like the natural next step. My stepmom, who's also a realtor, started asking around to see if any local agents needed help, and within a week, I was meeting with an agent who was looking for an assistant. During the interview, we went over my admin background, which, I had, but from well over a decade prior. And then he asked me what I knew about real estate. I kid you not. I straightened my posture, looked him dead in the eye, and said, "Oh, well, I've watched all the seasons of Selling Sunset." Yeah. And I was proud of that answer too. Little did I know, as I sat there, smug as can be about my reality TV insight, that I was sitting across from one of the most successful agents I have ever met. He had done over 100 deals in his first year alone, and for the last 3 months as a solo agent, he had been closing at least 15 transactions a month all by himself. To say he was busy would be an understatement. He barely had time to think, let alone interview a bunch of people, which, as it turns out, worked in my favor. If he had even one spare moment to look at another applicant, literally any other applicant, they would have been more qualified and would have gotten this job. Instead, he just looked at me for a moment and said, "You know what? Let's go for it. Can you please start on Monday?" I had no idea what I was in for. From that Monday on, I was thrown straight into the deep end. I went from keeping up with the drama on Selling Sunset to learning what actually goes on in this career and doing everything I legally could to help while I was getting my own license. Here's what I'll always appreciate. No matter how little I knew, no question was ever treated as silly. I was given patience and space to learn. Looking back, knowing what I know now and how I like to run things, if I had been my own boss back then, there are definitely days I would have fired myself. That grace given to me during that time made all the difference, and I credit a lot of my success today to being given that chance. Most agents get their license first and then start their career. I did it backwards. I learned the job before I even had my license. That was both good and bad. Good because I'm sure you've all noticed by now that the real estate course that we all took doesn't give you a single hint about how to actually build a business. Is it relevant? Absolutely, for the legal and professional side of things, but it doesn't teach you how to build a schedule, find clients, or plan your days. The bad part was I didn't fully grasped the importance of jumping on tasks as soon as they landed on my desks, like getting offer documents together the moment I got the notification, calling leads and following up with clients. I loved that part. It was so easy. I got it done right away. But the paperwork side took me a lot longer to catch on to, and I'd often leave it until the last possible moment. I didn't realize how important it was until I took the course, and at that time, I also had no idea how my brain actually worked. I'd wake up every day shocked at how much I had to get done, like it was a brand new surprise, even though I'd ended the day before with a pretty good idea of what was coming. I had no real schedule because calendars stressed me out. Everyone was saying time block everything, but what does that even mean? I'd try, but something would come up during something else I'd time blocked that I forgot I'd committed to, and then the whole time blocking day went out the window. I could not figure out how people could look ahead and just know exactly what they would be doing at any given moment. I had no real understanding of how my brain processes and holds information, so every time a new task came in, I'd get overwhelmed and start to panic, even if it was something I'd done 1,000 times before. Despite these learning curves, I was eventually able to thrive mostly because I was still operating inside someone else's ecosystem of urgency and demand. ADHD brains thrive with external accountability, and in this case, I didn't have to decide what to do or when to do it. A task comes in, I complete it, done. But that wasn't me being the boss of my own business. That was me doing a job inside someone else's business. And so when I eventually got busy enough to leave the team structure and branch out on my own, I was standing there like John Travolta in Pulp Fiction, like, huh? What do we do now? Where's everyone? Without any deadlines or that constant stream of urgent tasks landing on my desk, I'd sit down every morning with a huge list of big goals. Get more clients, grow the brand, become the top realtor in the country, who knows? But I had no clue what steps would actually get me there. Most of you probably started solo without a team, which means no one is walking you through what's necessary to actually be your own boss. And even if you have friends in the industry, most of your time is still spent alone. In your car, at showings, at your desk. You finish the course, excited to meet clients and sell homes, but without the right systems, structure, or community, it's so easy to lose momentum. Another challenge was that I was still trying to achieve my success by doing things the way the other agent did them. His approach to business worked excellent for him, but our niches and passions were completely different. I didn't know who I was as an agent yet. What did I bring to the table? Why would someone want to work with me? It was around this time that I remembered, oh yeah, I have ADHD. Maybe I should be looking into this a bit more and perhaps start taking it a little bit more seriously. That's when I discovered that knowing we have so much to do, but not being able to sometimes start or get any of it done is a classic ADHD challenge. It's not laziness. This problem is rooted in our neurobiology and how our brains prioritize and task manage. We struggle to categorize what's most important because, to our brains, every single task feels equally as important that it's hard to choose just one. That's why you can start doing laundry and somehow end up repotting plants, unloading the dishwasher, looking for your keys, and then find yourself back at the untouched laundry pile an hour later wondering, what happened? And if that's what day-to-day looks like, then how do we possibly focus our energy in business? First of all, own your entrepreneurship. You made the right choice. ADHD brains are creative, quick thinking, thrive under pressure, and are excellent problem solvers. You now have the freedom to set up your workspace, your schedule, and your tools in a way that supports your focus. This is a fun, rewarding career. It's okay to fall a little in love with it. Build a business environment that makes you excited to show up every day. You are your own boss with unique strengths that no one else has. Let them shine through in everything you do. Just as I had to find my style of business, yours should reflect who you are. People naturally gravitate towards authenticity. Choose your ideal client, picture the type of real estate you want to specialize in, and focus your energy and tasks that will help you succeed in that area. Since I often work from home, I've created a routine that allows me to transition from at home to in office, and also a ritual to put me out of office at end of day. I encourage you to get your day set up in a way that allows you to see yourself as your greatest ally in this business and someone that you can count on. You're going to do great. 2, get systems that work for you set up as early as possible. Think of your systems as your external brain. Your scheduling, work blocks, and planning might not look like your neurotypical counterparts who thrive on rigid time blocking, and that's okay. I find batching similar tasks using visual cues like whiteboards and timers, and also choosing a theme for each day. For example, mornings for follow-up, afternoons for social media and client care, and every day is dedicated to different types of lead generation. My calendar is color-coded and my task list is written out by hand, specifically detailing each task I need to complete. Instead of just writing client follow-up, I will write follow up with a text to Mr. Smith about ... Simply writing client follow-up is overwhelming. Which clients and why? Having it clearly written out helps me complete more in less time. Most importantly, create a routine that helps you push through the tasks you need to do, even if you don't feel like it. People love to say that ADHD is a superpower. I don't fully agree. While there are plenty of positive ADHD traits to celebrate, the superpower narrative can feel a bit dismissive, like it's trying to spin very real struggles into something positive without acknowledging how exhausting and frustrating ADHD can be, or the fact that it's a very real neurodevelopmental disorder. It's not that ADHD doesn't come with its strengths. It's just that those strengths usually shine because you've built systems, boundaries, and strategies to manage the hard parts, not because the condition itself is magically empowering. I instead believe that a simple, effective routine that aligns with ADHD is the real superpower. 3, set clear boundaries and stick to them. In this career, there is unlimited business every single day. And since ADHD brains naturally handle high stress, high intensity situations really well, it's easy to feel like we're thriving, right up until the point that we've crossed the invisible line into burnout without even realizing it. A coach I had the pleasure of working with a few years ago named Jen Percival said something that stuck with me. At any given point, you are usually one of these two things. Either you don't have enough business, or you don't have enough life. This job has a way of feeling on demand 24/7, so it's important to protect the things that matter most. Family events, fitness, rest, by setting clear boundaries with your clients and yourself from the very beginning. When I start working with a client, I ask right away how they prefer to communicate: text, call, or email. I also make it clear that they can reach out to me anytime. If I'm busy, I'll respond as soon as I can with a time that I can call them back. That way they know that I've heard them and we already have a plan in place for when we'll talk next. And unless we're actively negotiating an offer, anything after 9 p.m. can usually wait until morning because I know I have the most brain power early in the day and tend to make silly mistakes at night. One of the biggest game changers for me has been leaving my phone in another room while I sleep. That way it's not the first thing I grab in the morning or the last thing I stare at before bed. Most mornings I try to give myself a full hour before I even look at my phone and spend that time having coffee, journaling. I wake up calmer, not instantly thrown into emails or notifications, and I start my day on my own terms. It's like giving my brain a head start before the rest of the world starts demanding my attention, and has played a huge role in my emotional regulation and my productivity. Number 4, pick and stick. Novelty is tempting for ADHD brains, and since there are unlimited ways to do business in this industry, you might find yourself trying to do a bit of everything and end up not doing anything. I encourage you to try different avenues like cold calling, social media, door knocking, open houses to see what works. Once you find one that you like and see some success in it, commit to it. It's very easy to get sidetracked by get-rich-quick schemes or comparing what's working for others to what's working for ourselves. That kills consistency and your business. Keep in mind that we're all different, and what works for someone else won't necessarily work as well for you. We will often see the successes of others on social media, but not the late nights, sacrifices, and tears that it took to get there. Find what works for you, what you actually like to do, or you won't do it, and then give it all you got. And that brings us to number 5, outsource early. Even though I was an admin before and I love organization now, hiring a transaction coordinator literally changed my life. Her and my strengths combined help keep the transactions running smoothly from start to finish. I absolutely encourage hiring the right people for the areas you need help with as you get busier, not because you just don't want to do them. I recommend first doing all the tasks yourself so you have a solid handle on how to do them before you outsource. So those are my 5 CEO tips. However, I have one little bonus for you, and that one is find your community. There is more than enough business to go around in every market, and the industry is changing. The I'm better than thou attitude just isn't cutting it anymore. There is so much power and success in community. So here's a little challenge for you. Every single week, I want you to book one coffee or Zoom meeting with another agent you admire, whether they're in your market or far away. Follow them on Instagram, send them a DM, ask them questions and learn from them. Build relationships not just with your clients, but with other agents. And while we're at it, pull out your phone while you're listening and hit subscribe so you don't miss an episode. I've also linked my social media in the show notes. Follow me and send a DM. I'd love to hear from you. Yes, this job can feel lonely, but you should never feel like you're in it alone. The earlier you figure out what systems work for you, the less time you'll spend feeling spread too thin or wondering what to do next. Your systems don't have to be complicated. In fact, they shouldn't be. They just have to help you stay consistent and focused. For ADHDers, being the CEO of your own business is about building a business that supports you every single day, not one that leaves you scrambling to figure it out over and over again. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you in the next episode. Did mention on the last podcast that I was getting distracted by the fact that I didn't have a podcast background yet, and that's due to the fact that I actually have a room that I'm dedicating to my podcast space. There isn't any natural light in it. It's like more of like a den. I realize more than ever now why that has been such a priority for me, because right now we're gearing up for the weekend. I've got a rock band practicing for their show this evening on one side in a field, and literally right below there is a giant hole being dug into the street. So there's a lot of like external stimulation, and I think that is also what has prevented me from putting this out. So I think now that I know and I'm getting more comfortable with just like putting out this content, I'm definitely going to be working on getting that together, because it's an absolute must for me. Oh, welcome back. Okay, let's go. Done is better than perfect. Done is better than perfect. Done is better than perfect. Let's go. Fact that it is a very real neurodevelopment. That it is a very real neurodevelopment. Very real neurodevelopment. It's a very real, a very real neurodevelopment. Oh, or the fact that it is a very real neurodevelopment. It's a very real neurodevelopmental, oh my